Welcome to Deep Dive Daily.
Good morning, Andy. Hopefully your April 1st Tuesday is going well so far. We're going to cover a lot of NBA today, but before we get into the association, what do you think of the new rules that we have to digest now for NFL handicapping?
Yeah, I kind of like it. The kickoff one was already mentioned in the chat before we even went live. So if you kick a touchback, it used to go to the 20 way back in the day,
That's
and then
right.
we did dynamic rules. Now it went to the 30. Now they changed it to the 35, which we saw an uptick in returns, but I don't think it was enough for them. I guess so. Now you were very disincentivized to kick it into the end zone. I guess. So I think if it lands in the landing zone and trickles into the end zone, that's different. But if you kick it into the end zone, it just goes into the end zone. You get it in the 35. So I mean, yeah, somebody
Where
says
do you get it if it lands in the landing zone and trickles in?
I think that is the 20. I'm gonna have to
Oh,
double check that because that's where the kickoff team, if it lands in the landing zone, it looks like it's gonna roll into the end zone. They're incentivized to pick it up and try to return it.
okay.
I'm gonna have to double check. Maybe somebody in the chat can correct me on that. But the whole point is to kick a kick that lands inside the landing zone, not the end zone, not before it, and definitely not out of bounds. Although
Hmm.
out of bounds is almost the same as kicking a touchback now. It's the 40 and the 35. I don't know. I like kickoffs, and now that they're a little safer, where people aren't running 100 miles an hour, which I can't even imagine because I played low like we were a small town, so it's not like we were playing against kids that were going D1. But I played college or high school football, and like kickoffs fucking scary. When they have some like fast dude, it's like, hey, here's a really fast linebacker. It's about 190, which is I guess big for a high school kid, and he's going about 22 miles an hour, and he might hit you. Like that sucks. So I can understand why that was dangerous, which is funny because some of the people positing, the tush push stuff, pushing that, are saying, well, it can be a dangerous play, even though the injury rate on it was 0% going, back as many years as they've let it
Well,
go.
what do you call it? Mahomes almost tore his knee up while doing it.
Yeah, I mean that was just a sneak, though. I mean that was just a normal sneak.
That was like a
That's
dive.
that's the thing. I know. I listened to some content about it yesterday to see if there's any takes. I can't think. Was it maybe it's Bart Scott? There's some defensive player that does some content for one of the networks. Very bad at critical thinking because he just kept saying if they're allowed to push, us defenders should be allowed to push too. And I don't remember who the other guy was. He's like, they are. You just literally can't do that on a field goal. Do you want to get behind a defensive tackle and push him into that? Do you think that's gonna make it better? It's I don't know. It's just the tush push thing I think gets pushed off on the vote on that. The other stuff was the Detroit proposed to eliminate the automatic first down for defensive holding and illegal contact. Failed. That one has there's some weird implications to that because you could game the system.
Well,
Why wouldn't you just hold on a play where it's like third and super long and you might be in trouble? The ball's not in the air yet. I would just hold. If it's a 5 yard penalty and not an automatic first down, it gives the defense a bit of an advantage there. It's
hmm,
tricky because they could just say ball is in the air, fuck you. It's pass interference.
yeah. Hmm. I'm having trouble kind of really caring much, and I think in general,
It's football,
I,
baby.
like the kickoff one is the head scratcher. I was like, of all the things that are broken in the sport, is this really where we need to be spending all of our
Yeah,
time? Really, really,
we've
really
spent a
tweaking
lot of
this?
time on
Yeah,
the
spend a
well. So
lot of time on this.
so the good
Does
one,
anyone care?
the good one was the expanded replay assist,
Oh,
which
okay.
I had hoped for a lot more. The problem is they did it's a half measure, so
Oh,
they are allowed
bummer.
to get on there and say that wasn't a face mask, where that was a bad call. We're waving that flag off. The replay assistant is not allowed to say
Do the
You
oppo.
missed a blatant face mask. Like Sam Darnold 3 times last year. Several other. I mean, there was a big first down run for somebody, Atlanta maybe, where there was a face mask that would have changed the end of the game. So they're not allowed to do that, which I've liked it because it's fast and it seems like they get it right almost all the time when they fix something quickly. So hopefully that's better. But I do wish they were able to be like, hey, we're not trying to litigate it up here, but there was a blatant call that got missed, and it's a very important blatant call. Like I don't think they should be doing it with holding and stuff, but if it's a big face mask or some huge, maybe tripping leg whip, 15-yard penalties, they should be able to be like, you missed this, and that's a big deal.
Are they allowed to waive off DPI? If they look at the review and they're like, that was a good move by the defensive back, wave it off. Or if that was like clearly uncatchable, wave it off.
So it is.
We don't know yet.
It's mostly the defense doing stuff like hits on defensive players, face mask, horse collar, tripping, running into roughing the kickers. What Kevin Seifert says. They cannot add a flag, however, in instances where a foul clearly occurred but was not called. They're able to reverse those calls, which. It's something. Like I like the quick stuff that they're able to do.
We'll talk about the NFL draft more tomorrow, but the other NFL news that does matter, I think, more. It sounds like Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers is just going to eventually happen. It sounds like Kirk Cousins to the Browns is eventually just going to happen, and it sounds like the Giants are resigned to their fate of they're just going to get fired, and they're not going to go out of their way to try to do something bold to save their jobs. And I forget who posted this. Somebody smart was out there like, the regime takes a quarterback to save their jobs. It actually does not really ever work out for the regime. There are countless examples of drafting the quarterback to save your job and then immediately getting fired. So, but it doesn't. It sounds like the Giants are just. And the Giants are turbo fucked anyway because their schedule is super hard. So drafting Shedeur Sanders and showing promise isn't going to save them anyway because they're not going to meet the expectations of the of management. So, one
real quick thing too, because this is actually a big one. NFL owners have now passed a rule that both teams will be allowed to possess the ball in overtime in the regular season. Oh, that is a big one. So the playoff rule is coming to regular season. I think that one makes sense. The original proposal was to give them a 15-minute overtime, but they just said that we're not doing all that. It's still just 10. Both teams get the ball, but it's still 10. That's a good one. I think that's correct.
I dig that. That is clearly a positive change in the way that the current rules exist. Yeah, I agree.
And then the tush push thing has officially been tabled per Schefter. So they won't make the decision at these league meetings. That's not to say they can't make decisions on it before this season. But I think somebody had said that. He says, man, it's a big one. They're not going to figure it out this week.
Okay, cool. So
tush push.
Yay. Are we going to get Frankie Louvu? Are we going to get Frankie Louvu diving over the center, false starting 15 times in a row again this year? Hopefully, at some point, that'll be fun.
Hopefully, every coach is just like, don't fucking embarrass me by doing that.
Just let it happen. All right, let's talk a little NBA. There are a couple of games in the association tonight that ultimately have humongous ramifications in terms of playoff seeding in the Western Conference. The Golden State Memphis game is probably the one to key on here. This game is effectively a playoff game. I have the loser of this game over 60% to be in the play-in. The winner of this game will be safely in, which is a huge swing in terms of both seeding and playoff equity, obviously. Minnesota, Denver, also huge for a play-in swing. Minnesota wins, they can potentially avoid play-in. A loss pretty much squarely puts them in the 7-8 hole. But yeah, this is a really fascinating end of season kind of shaking out how the West will be seeded. Now, will it matter? Not if the Thunder keep playing like they're playing, Andy, because they are putting up historic performances, even while resting guys. So, it'll matter in terms of, how will we be entertained with first round playoff matchups. But as it stands right now, your 8th best team in the West, Houston Rockets, are going to be your 2 seed. Your 7th best in the West, Memphis Grizzlies, are probably going to be the 7 seed. I think your Timberwolves are going to get the 8. I think Memphis, Minnesota is going to be your 7-8 play-in. And I think Minnesota probably has a very realistic expectation to win that game and punch the ticket for the 7. So right now I would project Houston, Minnesota as your 2-7 matchup. And I think Minnesota is probably going to be correctly favored in that matchup. Your 3 seed right now I'm projecting is your Los Angeles Lakers. Your 4 seed right now I'm projecting is your Denver Nuggets. Golden State Warriors, your 5 seed. LA Clippers, your 6 seed. So we are looking at an LA 3-6 by my numbers. We are looking at a Denver Golden State Warriors 4-5. Of course, all of this gets flipped on its head if the results go the other way today. For those who are wondering, I took the points with Memphis. That's now down to 5. I got 6, which is nice. I think there were people expecting that Memphis was maybe going to surprise bench some guys, because it doesn't really make sense that you could bet the Celtics last night around 5 and then bet the Warriors today around 5, because the Celtics and the Warriors aren't exactly equal in terms of fair rating. And I know Jaylen Brown didn't play, and that affected some of the price, but the Warriors they have a healthy rest advantage, but that is a little rich to be this big a favorite at Memphis. This to me looks like the buy low spot for Memphis, assuming that they don't rest guys. And then I took Minnesota plus the 3 against Denver. That's down to 2. The big question mark there was, are we going to get a surprise suspension for your Timberwolves after the fighting? And I think it's probably too late to do it now. So I think the Timberwolves are just going to be at full strength against a Nuggets team that has questionable tags on 2 massively important players in Murray and Gordon. So the boogeymen from the Pacific, the boogeymen from the Midwest that go up and kind of consistently punk the Nuggets. Hopefully they keep up the good work and do get a win tonight in Denver. But any general thoughts about the West? Any playoff matchups you especially want to see, don't care for? Do you think if that's how things shake out, you'll be excited for the West playoff matchups or disappointed? What's your read?
I don't think there's any bad ones. There's a lot of good teams. I guess I'm not excited for the LA one. Just because I can never get excited for the Clippers. I have even when they made the moves over the last 4 or 5 years to turn that into a feasibly good team that never really got, over the hump into the top 4 or 5 teams. Because even now, I don't know if I can take them seriously as a contender. They're good, not great, and that one's kind of, I don't know. I guess it depends what the Lakers do, because the Lakers have been very up and down and very unpredictable. Some people are going to lose some good money on that series, I suppose. I mean, we'll just see. We'll just see what if Luka clearly has a playoff gear. I mean, we saw that.
Yeah,
so
no question.
If LeBron got his little bit of time off for his fake injury, he's feeling a little spry. He went and got some, European Peyton Manning medicine maybe, and then Luka kicks into playoff gear. They're a pain in the ass team. Those are 2 legitimate superstars.
Yeah. No, and your second banana is LeBron James, or in the case of the Warriors, Jimmy Butler. You're in pretty damn good shape. The people who are naysaying about the Thunder are kind of pointing out that specific aspect, which is, if you can shut down Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's beating you? Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams. Those aren't scary names like LeBron James and Jimmy Butler. I completely admit that. But they have enough places and ways they can hurt you, and their defense is still so flipping good. It may not matter who and it may not be possible to shut down SGA. So that's kind of where my head is at with my Thunder support at this point. And It also remains to be seen if I hold that to the death or ultimately hedge out at some point if the price finally catches up. Because right now the Thunder are priced about the same title odds as the Celtics, and that's bullshit. It's nonsense. Like, there's no way you have a historic team that is doing this, a historic net rating, like better than the freaking 96 Bulls. This team, not, without having to go through Cleveland, having the same championship equity as the Celtics is absurd. So I'm pretty surprised at how the market is treating the Thunder in the outrights. But the other kind of thought I had here, I think for awards purposes, the Draymond Green DPOY is just going to come at this point. Did you know that 10 of the 100 voters are TNT employees who work with Draymond Green?
Oh,
is that news to you?
That seems bad. I guess I knew a couple of those people voted. I didn't realize it was 10.
10. If he gets an 8-2 split there, Draymond starts with a 6-vote advantage over Mobley before anyone else votes.
What if it's 3-7 just because working with him has to be a pain?
That would be funny, but it's public, so at some point, like you're gonna you're gonna see him in the building.
You pull up next to him at the urinal.
Yeah,
what up?
So you voted for Mobley over me? What the hell? But yeah, the other kind of big news for the Draymond DPOY is the other big news of the NBA media from yesterday, Andy, which is that the Zach Lowe podcast is coming back. Yes. No longer the Lowe Post, but now the Zach Lowe Pod or the Zach Lowe Show, presented by The Ringer. And we'll get to hear Lowe himself, I think, on the next Simmons show. But the reason that matters for the Draymond DPOI is that he is a very pro Draymond Green, is the best defensive basketball player in the association guy. He was making that case in the face of Rudy Gobert winning like 4 DPOIs. So I would expect, given his history, that Zach Lowe will help shape some of the narrative around that award just being a fait accompli. So with that, any other final thoughts on? Oh yeah, when you mentioned the Clippers-Lakers series not having juice for you just because you can't get it up for the Clippers. The one thing to keep in mind about the Clippers, because right now I would rate them pretty clearly in the same tier as the Lakers, a hair above the Timberwolves, below the Warriors, among the West contenders. But the important thing is that people are all starting to talk about how Kawhi looks good again. He's got bounce. He looks healthy, right? Which means he's about to tear his ACL.
Yeah,
so, as soon as people start talking it up, as soon as people start talking up how Kawhi looks super good, super healthy, is the minute that it goes absolutely tits up. So,
thoughts on the big coach of the year move? Saginaw down to what, 20-25 to 1 at some places. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right.
Yeah, Diggs. I mean, I think that's correct. I think the fact that he's kind of, I don't know. Who knows? Kenny Atkinson losing steam feels correct to me. There will be people who are going to look at those two in particular side by side, and I think, and really have a tough time distinguishing what exactly Atkinson did to be such a clear choice. Especially if this Thunder team is setting all-time historical marks. So ultimately, is this one of the things where we got a 250 to 1 and he finishes a clear third? Probably. So I think it's important to continue to monitor that market. And my get-in price for Atkinson would be something like 2 to 1, minus 200-ish, 1 to 2. So we'll see if it gets there, but I don't think Bickerstaff has a realistic chance.
You're doing horse racing content.
I don't know, man.
1 to 2. Fractions are the worst.
The morning in general is a little tough for my brain. So
that's fair.
Anyway,
your second banana still, JT Bickerstaff's dad.
JB, yeah.
JB, he went to BC for a bit. James Madison product.
Yeah.
JT Bickerstaff.
The fact that he's winning without a healthy Cade Cunningham is notable, but the problem for JB Bickerstaff is they're going to lose by 40 to the Thunder tomorrow, so that might throw a little cold water on it.
That is a bummer.
All right.
All right. Draft talk tomorrow.
That's it. We'll talk some draft tomorrow. I have thoughts.
I got some bets in.
I have a lot
There's
of
some places
thoughts.
taking some bets now.
I have a lot of thoughts.